But so check this out. We dealing with this brother, and we helping this brother to really understand.
I just wanted to ask you
because you believe in Kemet, we believe according to the Bible that we the Israelites.
Right.
So you believe what you believe, and we gonna continue in what we believe.
Right.
Most
definitely. I want to know as much as you understood about that, because there are versions of that book that are older than 500 years, but the oldest version goes back to the Pentateuch. But the Pentateuch, which that book is the oldest version you can find of any Bible or Quran.
Right, get
and the Pentateuch says what in it? The Pentateuch, the white man who wrote, the white group of men who wrote the Pentateuch said, we write this trying to understand what them black folks doing.
I got one question.
Go ahead, brother.
The kings that you quoted, are they?
He quoted those kings.
Well, you went into the Tuts.
Right.
The Tut family.
Because he said.
So
go ahead.
Were they Shemitic or Hamitic?
Okay.
Just answer that question.
I'm trying to.
Shemitic or Hamitic?
You asked me.
Okay, go ahead. I'm
trying to answer. I'm sorry, but if I'm not answering the way you want me to, but Shem and Ham were names that Europeans came up with.
Europeans wasn't even on the earth yet, brother.
Thousands of years ago, about 6,000 years ago, Europeans, that disease that we call white folks, came up on this planet.
So now
were they brothers?
Who?
Shem and Ham. Whatever their names were they brothers, right?
Were they two different lineages?
Exactly.
Were they two different lineages?
There's no proof they existed.
Were they two different lineages?
I'm just telling you, there's no proof they existed.
So I'm going to ask another way.
Well, Hansel and Gretel, brothers and sisters.
You know we listen to you talk. We did listen to you talk, so now let us talk. So I'm trying to get a specific answer. So since you don't want to use whether they were Hamitic or Shemitic, whatever you want to call them, were they two different lineages? That's the question.
I don't believe they ever existed. I haven't seen any proof. Like, I know those cameras exist. I know that car exists. But I don't know y'all names, but I know all of y'all exist.
So now, based on the existence of all the Tut family that you named,
right? You know they existed, yes.
Well, if you know that they existed, then they come out of Ham.
Exactly. You saying what's being said don't make sense?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's because you know what?
Go ahead.
That's because.
Right.
I just want
real quick, let me read this. 1 John, you got it. Regardless of the version of this book, because it don't matter how long, we're going to deal with the version that's been delivered unto us, and this is the reason why. Go ahead.
1 John chapter 5 and verse 4.
About
1 John 5 and 4.
Okay. Yeah.
For whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world.
Because this book here, we started off with saying, teaching our people that was out here that they should know the truth. And the truth is going to set them free. And some of the things that they would be set free from was alcoholism, being addicted to drugs, being addicted to lust, being addicted to fornication, being addicted to murder, because we dealing with a young brother right here that was shot, man. And he want to know how can he help himself so that this thing never happen again. Go ahead.
And this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith.
Right, because according to this book is filled with laws, statutes, and commandments and judgments that's going to prevent that. Because everywhere in the so-called black and Hispanic community, we've tried everything, right? We've tried education.
No, we haven't.
We thought jobs was the answer. We thought money was our problem. When we spend over $3 trillion a year, so money ain't the problem. Look at all our people with degrees and with education and all of that, still ain't changed. We thought voting was the reason. We tried everything but dealing with our power, which is the God that created the heaven and the earth, because I'm talking about what you see. In the earth, our people think voting is the answer.
No,
they think education is the answer.
They don't.
Every time we come out here, we get this same brother. He pulls up right in the middle of the camp and he screams out at us, telling us, the hell with that Bible, we need to create jobs.
What brother did that?
I don't even know the brother's name, but everywhere we set up, maybe he be watching, he just pop up and say, get the people jobs.
I know black folks who are 70 years old who've never had a job. I know for a fact, and this is even according to the crazy ass white man, that most black folks don't vote. And then you said we tried education. I know that 90% of the black folks I know don't even know that education started with black folks.
So how do we stop the things in our community?
first we have to understand that's our community. Is get off your lazy ass and start doing what you're supposed to do.
And what do? Go ahead.
I live right back. I used to live right on Papa Bell. Right? I lived over there for 10 years. I live on Brandon, right back here, right? Family grew up around. Matter of fact, you from St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. But you know that Vashon used to be down here, and most black folks went to Vashon.
Yeah.
How do we stop? We need to understand that this is our community. Most black folks don't even know the history of St. Louis. Most black folks don't know that when Vashon and Sumner...
Real quick, I'm going to ask you a question to help this brother.
All those schools was given to black people. When all those schools was given to black people, the black community told the white government, you can't tell us how to run this school. That don't go on today because we don't know what's out.
Like we dealt with the young brother, and he stepped away. He said he'd come back. We asked him what could have happened before he was shot. And it starts with hatred, man. Don't we have hatred for each other? What causes the gunfire? Is it not anger?
White folks taught us to hate niggas.
Right.
The time you born,
but is it not anger though, right?
Well, yeah, you have to have
So how do you deal with that anger though?
I deal with it.
Yeah.
I throw away everything the white man brought us. And the white man brought us that book and the Quran and all.
So with this man, the white man didn't give us this book, brother, because this book was out. Abraham had the scriptures and had the laws, statutes, and commandments before the white man. The white man was hated because he didn't listen to his father, Isaac.
The white man is hated by who?
So, with that being said, stay with me, because we ain't gonna go all over the place.
Okay, I was just trying to get, you said he was hated.
It dealt with having a conversation. If you angry with somebody, until you talk to that person, ain't you still gonna have those feelings? Until you express, hey, I didn't like what you did.
It's healthy water, brother.
When you speak to that person, get it and show them what we read. We read this, Leviticus 19 and 17. And this helped this young brother in his life. He may save himself from another gun being put in his face because of anger. Anger is one of the #1 sins that our people commit that cause us to be in the condition that we're in. Leviticus 19 and 17.
Leviticus 19 and 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart.
In our minds, among the so-called black community is full of anger. You see a brother do something to you, the first thing you come to your mind is, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna fight him.
That's the first thing come to my mind, but the first thing come to most of our
because we dealing with our people. It is a high percentage of our people that control that anger. But we dealing with the majority of our people because we need them to be in the same position where we stand, right? And then that's how we grow as a whole. So we teaching our young people, instead of having that hatred, go have a conversation. That's right. Tell this brother that you didn't like what he did. Because when you tell him, you give him an opportunity to do what? Say, you know what, my bad, brother, I won't do it no more. But because that thing don't happen, what's the #1 result that it come to? Gunplay.
Well, I've seen brothers speak to brothers that didn't make a difference. But I do understand what you're saying.
It starts that.
It can start.
Now, after they speak, now they got to do the next thing. Ecclesiastes chapter 28. Because remember, everything happens. It's about steps, taking positive steps, right? The first positive step was having a conversation. Go tell that brother, okay, you know what, that wasn't cool what you did. Now, Ecclesiastes chapter 28 and verse 2. Now this would be the next step, because you said you saw brothers that speak to each other and they still end up fighting, shooting each other. Now this is another positive step. Ecclesiastes 28 and 2.
Ecclesiastes chapter 28 and verse 2. Forgive thy neighbor the hurt that he had done unto thee.
Right, so we're talking to the so-called black and Hispanics who are the children of Israel, because if you can hear my voice, understand that according to the Bible, our ancestors were the Hebrew Israelites. And if they were Hebrew Israelites, then that make us Hebrew Israelites. And we have a nuisance in our community, which is gunfire, which is murder. But murder starts with anger. And to diffuse the anger, we as a people have to take a positive step and apply Leviticus 19 and 17, which is go have a conversation with your brother or your sister and express that you didn't like what they did. Now, when you express what they did to you, now you gotta do what?
Forgive thy neighbor the hurt that he had done unto thee.
Now you got to forgive them. Don't continue to be angry because they may have said sorry, but they probably didn't say sorry the way you wanted them to say sorry, so you're going to still be mad.
White folks have taught us to never be satisfied with black people. I got it.
All right, brother. Hey, but check this out real quick. When we was in our own land, who wasn't there? The white folks.
The white folks.
Did the Europeans dwell in the Caucasus Mountains? Is that a fact?
From my fact,
stay with me.
I disagree with the Caucasus
The
Mountains.
Europeans dwelt in the Caucasus Mountains. That's why we call them the Caucasians. Let me speak, and I'm going to let you speak. When the Europeans were not in our land, we still had a problem with anger. Therefore, thus says the law, because Leviticus, and when the children of Israel was in the wilderness, they wasn't even oppressed by the white man first. They was oppressed by the Egyptians. So when they came out, the Most High told them how to deal with one another by not hating. The white man wasn't even in the equation.
Now, I disagree with you on the... I disagree. Matter of fact, there are some professors I disagree with on the Caucasus Mountains. If you study all of the lands around the Caucasus Mountains, the Black Sea area and all those lands, you study them and you read their own history, right? Because it's all been translated into English, right? And they will say the invaders came from the north. The Caucasus Mountains are not north of the Black Sea. The Caucasus Mountains are just east of the Black Sea. So then you have to find out what mountains were north that some people could come from. And they were the Ural Mountains. The Ural Mountains are still right there right now today. So my belief, now I might be wrong. I'm just saying from my study. No. But the European was not on our planet until 6,000 years ago.
See, brother, let me explain something to you.
Go ahead, brother.
This what you got to understand.
Go ahead.
Because the Europeans coming from the north, that's true.
Yes, sir.
But now what the brother is speaking about, before the Europeans, I want
6,000 years ago.
Hold on. Let me say what I'm going to say.
Go ahead.
Like we let you say what you was going to say, right? So now, the Europeans' original dwelling place was the Caucasus Mountains. Hold on, but let me finish.
I didn't say that.
The point that you're making is valid, but they only sojourned to the north, fulfilling a prophecy that's written about them overcoming this hemisphere we live on. And when they came and overtook this hemisphere, our forefathers was here, and they enslaved our forefathers first. All right, they enslaved our forefathers first. They came from the Caucasus Mountains and enslaved our forefathers first, and then they came to the borders of West Banks and came and got the so-called black man. So they did come from the north back to the Eastern Hemisphere to enslave the so-called blacks. But before they even was risen up, like get Ezekiel chapter 7 and 23. This is why the European was even raised up out of the Caucasus Mountains. And we're going to prove according to the scriptures.
But see, I'm saying going beyond the book that was written 500 years ago. Going beyond the book that was written 500 years ago. There are books that were written 5,000 years ago. The oldest writings in the world, still right now today, 200,000 years ago, the oldest writings in the world show that God is a black woman. God is the black woman. It had represented, and it's still there right now today. And those writings are, the writings are right over in Cahokia. You can go over there. The red people who lived in this country, they had it over here. But when they built up this madness that we living in, they destroyed the stuff over here. But before they destroyed everything over in what they call the Cahokia Mounds, they found some writings that
Ezekiel 7, and then we get right back to it. So,
years ago.
For everybody that's paying attention and that's listening, and that's listening, the so-called European, hold on, brother, because now, you see all these people, we have to edify them as well. Okay, so now.
If they listen, I ain't mad at nobody.
For everybody that's listening, the Europeans only came up against our forefathers, which is the Israelites, because of this reason right here. Get Ezekiel 7 and 23. So the Most High want us as brothers to do this. Everybody that's listening, this is what the Most High want us to do as a community of people. This is what he want us to do.
So this is Ezekiel chapter 7 and 23. Make a chain.
The Lord said make a chain. If we was all linked together, what will we be? We will be a chain of men, right? The Lord said, make a change. Keep reading.
For the land is full of bloody crime.
For the land, meaning the land of St. Louis City, and all the cities in the United States are full of bloody crimes. That's what we out here to do, is to show our men and the young men how to come up out of the mentality of committing bloody crimes. Okay. And that's why we were showing another young brother that was here before this man walked up, that the way to overcome the thought of sin in your mind is to what? First and foremost, deal with your brother according to righteousness, and come together and stand up as a what? A community of men, and come to, and make a change. Okay? So now, keep reading.
And the city is full of violence.
And the city is full of what?
Violence.
That's why we out here teaching in the streets of St. Louis City to this day. Knowledge will puff a person up to have a lot of knowledge, but the Lord teaches a man with the knowledge that he get to also get understanding. Where's the understanding written at? The Holy Bible, the King James Version Bible. And the only way you can understand is by keeping the commandments. We're going to come right back here, but get Ecclesiastes chapter 19.
Understanding is in that book, right?
Ecclesiastes 19.
And you said that book is 500 years old, right? I'm saying that we had these cities in this country.
So for all the brothers that's listening, we trying to edify you brothers to know what's going to help you, in your life, okay? Because to have the acknowledgement of a whole bunch of wisdom that won't profit you, that can't help you. Everybody that's listening, can you agree? To know that a rock is the color red and it stems from the color red, does that help you change the thought of anger in your mind that caused you to murder your brother? Do it? It don't do it. So the Bible teaches us and gives us the tools to overcome sin. Because when we overcome sin, the Lord said he will be in your corner. And he will help you make it in this world that hates you. See? Because what you got to understand is the Lord deals with the spirits on the earth. And the spirit that he give you is a spirit to walk in his ways and to overcome the hardship in your life that you go through. So the Bible says as men, we have to come together and stand up over our households. Stand up in our community. Come together and what? Forsake the mind of hatred. And forsake the mind of murder. Okay? So now read that.
17. So this Ecclesiastes chapter 19 and 19. The knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life.
So the Bible says the knowledge. So if you have knowledge alone don't profit you. The Bible is saying the knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life. Everybody who paying attention, do you want to receive the kingdom of heaven? That's a question. Do anybody out here want to receive the kingdom of heaven? I do. See, I do. So that's why the Bible is teaching that the knowledge of the commandments is the doctrine of life. This doctrine, according to the King James Version Bible, is going to get you everlasting life if you keep the commandments, okay? So now let's go back and then read the next verse. So this where the Europeans even came from and involved themselves in our lives, because we was given to what? Bloody crimes in the street. We was given to hatred. We was given to murder. The Lord said, come together, men, and make a change. Because if you don't, this what will happen, and has already happened.
This is Ezekiel chapter 7 and verse 24. Wherefore I will bring the worst of the heathen, and they shall possess their houses. I also will make the pomp of the strong to cease, and their holy places shall be defiled.
See that? So that's where the heathen and the European came from. They came from the Caucasus Mountains, and the Most High raised their spirit up against you because you was guilty of committing sin in your homeland, which is Jerusalem. Okay? So if we don't want the European in our personal lives, even to this day, what do we have to do? We have to keep the commandments, and they won't be kicking in your door, or they won't be pulling you over saying, get out the car. They won't be gunning you down in the streets of the city. See, the commandments is the root to all of our problems, but are we paying attention? See, and that's what we teaching. We trying to help our youth, and we trying to help the children. See, we can't be selfish anymore. We can't be covetous. See, the spirit of covetousness is a sin, and it's the spirit of selfishness. It's the spirit of desire of things that don't belong to you. So when you deal in covetousness and hatred, guess what? You forget about your children. Those little babies